Hello and welcome to another episode of the podcast. It's episode 147. So welcome if you're new here and welcome if you're a returning viewer. So today I've finished something that I thought I had been working on for about a year, maybe 2 years. And then I realized that I actually started this project in October 2022. So it's been well over 2 years and I finally finished it. Just suddenly had an urge a few days ago to get it finished, mainly because I was a bit frustrated and bored with another project I was working on. So I was looking in my basket next to my chair and thought, let's get this finished. So I'll share that in a minute. Share the progress on the projects I was working on last week. And then I'm planning for a new project because I want to get another garment on the needles for myself. So I'll talk about that because I've got to make some decisions and I'm struggling making decisions at the moment. So we'll talk about that as well. Plus, I'll talk about my upcoming plans, some new workshops that are coming up and a few other things. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And don't forget, I have 20% off everything on my website. So yarn, beads for knitting, notions, my book Speedy Lace Knitting, Easy Lace Knits, the clutch frames for my clutch bags, these clutch bags, and loads and loads of pretty yarn. So that's all on my website. 20% off until the 25th of January. The code is set to run out sometime on the 26th, so that if you're a bit late using it, it might still work. The code is New Year 20, all one word. I'll put the details on the screen and I'll also put the details on the link below, but go to YarnAddict.co.uk and use the code to get 20% off everything until the 25th of January. If you're new here, and there are lots of new people who've joined us in the last week and a half, thanks to one particular video, which I'll talk about in a minute. So thank you very much if you're new here. I really appreciate it. If you're a returning viewer, I really appreciate you as well for sticking around. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. And if you'd like this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment. I have had loads more comments than normal in the last week and a half because of this video, which I wouldn't say it's gone quite viral, but it's as viral, I think, as any of my YouTube videos have ever gone. So I've got loads of comments to catch up on. I've been trying to catch up. I went through a whole bunch this morning after my workout just to give myself a few minutes to cool down. So I do really appreciate it. Leave me a comment, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and click the notification bell if you don't want to miss any future videos. So the video that kind of went viral-ish, viral for me last week, was my video on how do people knit so much. So I was talking about how this time of year a lot of people are sharing what they've knitted in 2024, and both on YouTube and on social media, and how that sparked comments and discussions among other people about how people knit so much. And why do we care how much people knit? Which I think is probably more important. One of you, and I should have made a note of it or taken a screenshot of it, and I forgot because I was reading through some comments this morning after my workout. One of you was saying that somebody else you follow had said, share but don't compare. And that is so true. You know, share what you do on social media, but don't compare yourself to other people. And for me, I think share, don't compare is really going to be one of my like key phrases this year. I don't tend to choose a word for the year because by the end of January I've usually forgotten what it is. But I think last year I was definitely spending far too much time comparing myself to others and feeling inadequate. I felt like some of the stuff I do wasn't as popular as other people, and I felt like I didn't have an awful lot of traction on social media. I feel like, especially like my Instagram account, feels like it's stopped growing. I'm just feeling stagnant, and then I had a period where I was submitting stuff to magazines but not getting commissioned, so then I felt inadequate because of that. And I don't know, things just felt a lot of time last year just feeling inadequate and like, you know, what I'm doing is not good enough. But it was also difficult here personally last year because of mainly because of elderly parents, to be quite honest. I'm going to Norway more often now than I used to. I went, well, technically I guess I went 5 times in 2024, but it was kind of 6 times because I went Christmas 2023, but we got back here before the end of December. We came back here on like the 30th or 31st, I think. So technically that is 2023, but kind of counted as last year. And then I went in March with my oldest daughter, May on my own, September with my husband, November with my youngest daughter, and then I had to go at the end of December, which was just 3 days before the end of December or something like that. So it's kind of sneaked into last year. But the thing is, I'm going to Norway a lot more, and I have done for the last nearly 5 years now. Spent a lot of time last year comparing myself to others and feeling inadequate, and last autumn especially I was really busy, and then going to Norway twice was quite a lot to do. But because we weren't going for Christmas last year, 2024, I felt like I should go in November, because otherwise it would have been too big a gap if I had waited and planned to go in January. So like Simon said to me at the end of last autumn, if I'm going to go to Norway as often as I am, I need to do less work, because I just can't do everything. I have health problems as well, so I also got to take that into account and stop comparing myself to others. So this year I think I'm going to take a board that's saying share but don't compare, because I think that's just what I need. So thank you very much for sharing that. I should have made a note of who it was, or at least taken a screenshot, but thank you for sharing that. So that was the video Tuesday last week. Tuesday this week I shared a video on swivel cables. So swivel cables or swivel cords, cords that you attach to circular needles. I don't think this one's not a swivel cord, and this is a regular cord, and you can see when I move the needle tip, it makes the whole cable move. Swivel cables have different attachment here, so when you move your needle tip, the cable doesn't move, they move independently of each other. And some people love them, some people don't. I thought I loved them, and then I tried them on one particular project and I realized that they didn't suit every project, every yarn type. So I did a video on that on Tuesday this week. So if you haven't seen that, go and take a look. I will link it below and at the end of this video. So just quickly before we get on to my project, let me just talk about some of the stuff that's coming up, and then we'll get on to my projects. I am going to unravel from the 14th to the 16th of February. It's 3 weeks today till we leave for unravel, and I've got a lot of stuff to do. Tomorrow I'm going to make a list of everything I need to do, because there's a lot to do. I haven't done unravel since 2019. Unravel is in Farnham in Surrey, just outside London, and it is in a beautiful old venue called the Maltings. But it's a building that is a bit higgledy-piggledy. There's lots of rooms. There's one big hall and a couple of slightly bigger rooms, and there's lots of small rooms. And I've always been in one of the bigger rooms, and I just hope I don't get put in one of the tiny rooms, because I do feel that struggles sometimes a bit with people coming through. So I'm really excited, but I'm also a bit nervous because I haven't been for so long, and it's a difficult show to set up for, because I don't have like grid walls and things, and depending on where I get put, I may not have any walls to display stuff on. So I'm just waiting to hear where I am, and then I've got to figure it out, which I'm not sure how I'm going to do, but I am looking forward to it. So if you're coming to unravel, do come and say hello. I will share the stall I'm on and the room I'm in once I know, but I don't know yet. But I'm quite excited about it, but also a bit nervous about it. I'm always nervous before shows. It seems quite overwhelming because there is a lot of prep work to do before a show. It does get a little bit overwhelming, and we drive home from unravel on the Sunday. So I can't remember what time it finishes, but once it finishes, we'll pack up and then drive back to Cornwall. I can't remember how long it normally takes us, but it must be like about 4 hours, I guess. Maybe a bit more with the stop, I can't remember. And then I am home on the Monday, and I've got to unpack as much yarn as possible. And then I go to Norway on the Tuesday, and I've got to be at the station for 6 o'clock in the morning. Who planned that? Need to sack my assistant, i.e. me. I planned that. Yeah, it wasn't ideal. I would have preferred to have another day at home, but trying to fit it in between other events, and also with the days that Ryanair fly, have a late afternoon flight, evening flight My flight's at 6 o'clock. I need a late afternoon or an early evening flight in order to get to Stansted on time. So can't say I'm looking forward to that, but I'm looking forward to going to Norway again. So then on the 11th of March, I'm teaching top down Farrell circular yoke sweater at Spinny Yarn in Devon, in Bobby Tracy in Devon. I have taught this workshop several times before, but I don't think I've taught it since before the pandemic started. So I'm excited to be teaching that again because it is a fun class. So if you wanted to knit a top-down circular yoke sweater, we're going to focus mainly on doing a ferrule pattern on the sweaters. You learn the circular yoke top-down construction and how to add a ferrule pattern. And if you haven't done ferrule knitting or stranded colourwork knitting, you learn that as well. But you could also use what you learned to do other top-down circular yoke sweaters, whether it's just plain stocking stitch or adding other stitch patterns. So even if ferrule isn't your thing, it's still a useful workshop to do. Then on 18th of March, the week after, I'm doing finishing techniques, also spinning yarn. So finishing techniques, all things to sew up your sweaters and all the finishing details and take your project from, will they say homemade to handmade? Is that the way around or is it the other way around? I don't know. Anyway, it gives your garments that touch and makes the final touches a bit easier to do, I think, and more enjoyable. So we're going to do short row shoulder shaping, sewing up obviously, and pressing, blocking, all that kind of stuff. We'll talk about that. Picking up stitches, knitting button bands, neck edgings, one row buttonholes, and a few more things. And if you take my in-person finishing techniques class, you get my online finishing techniques course for free afterwards. So you basically get a 2-for-1 really. You get my in-person class and you can ask me questions and practice with me there helping you, but then you also get the online course afterwards, so you can go back and review things as needed. So you win really. So contact Spinny Yarn if you're interested in those. I'll put their details below. And then on the 29th of April, I'm teaching toe up socks at Spinny Yarn. So I love knitting socks from the toe up, and if you haven't done that before, it doesn't matter whether you've knitted socks before or not, this workshop is suitable for you if you've knitted socks from the top down, or if you've never knitted socks before. This workshop is perfect for you. So we'll probably mainly focus on toe up socks with a gusset and heel flap, but I will also give people an option to do toe up socks with an afterthought heel. So if you would rather do that, then that is an option as well on this workshop. And then on the 28th of March, I'm teaching brioche knitting at the Knitting Hotel in Dawlish in Devon. Knitting Hotel in Dawlish in Devon. Now that's a weekend retreat. People normally arrive on Thursday afternoon and leave either Sunday evening or Monday morning. My workshop is on the Friday, I believe, 28th of March. And I'm doing brioche knitting for that one day, and then Belinda and her very, very good assistant Brenda will take you through the rest of the weekend. And it's probably fully booked because they tend to book up quite quickly, but they do also take day guests. So you can either come for like the whole weekend and stay offsite, or you can come just for the day and stay offsite, which is good if you live locally or you have family locally, or you can stay somewhere locally. So in the past, I've had people who live offsite who come for the whole weekend and some who come for just the workshop day. So if you're interested in that, contact the Knitting Hotel. Their link is also below this video. So that's all the promotions for now. Let's get on to what I've been knitting. talk about what I finished first. Remember this project? So I thought I started this, I was thinking this morning, is it a year ago? Is it 2 years ago? And then I was tidying up my phone yesterday and deleting a bunch of photos and videos because I'm preparing to get a new phone, and the phone I want doesn't have any SD card storage options. And I don't think the storage it comes with is enough for me with the amount of videos and photos I keep on my phone. So I was tidying up a bit yesterday to see whether I could get down low enough that I could go for that phone. And I can't. But I came across a photograph of this when I started it, and I started it in October 2023. So it's been a lot longer than I thought it was since I started this. No, so October 2022. Seeing October 2023, that's not very long ago, but it's October 2022. So I started down here. The purple is the edging. I used a tutorial by Lucy of Attic 24 for how to do a granny stripes blanket. Just Google Attic 24 granny stripes and I'm sure you'll find it. It was a free tutorial, but I would work on this and then I might not work on it for a bit and then I'll work on it a bit again. And when I got to like here, can you see how it goes in a bit? I basically forgot how to do the edges. There's a bit of hair attached to that. I forgot how to do the edges, beginning and ends of the rows, so I ended up going in a bit. And when I realized it, I just went back out again, and it's probably happened other places as well. And I thought, well, it's a blanket, who cares? When I'm using it, nobody's going to know. So it started down here, and then it goes through loads of different colors. I will try and get a picture of it before I edit this video to share. I'll put the picture in here because it's so dull and dark this morning. I was trying to get a picture on my bed before I started filming, but it was just really dark in my room, and my bedroom is the brightest room in the house. So I picked this up before the weekend, no, Saturday maybe, I can't remember, but I picked this up on evening because I was feeling a bit bored with my other project, and this has been sitting in a basket next to my chair in the lounge for ages. And over the summer, when I wasn't working on it because it was getting too big, basically I've been wearing it as a blanket when I've been working on it. And over the summer it was just too big and too warm to do that. And I thought, I'm cold, I want to do something else, but I'm tired. I will work on my crochet blanket. So I didn't do a lot. I think I was like partway through this orangey pink bit here when I last talked about it. So I just finished these last few rows and then I started the edging. So I had planned to do a bigger edging, but I went all the way around doing trebles, like granny trebles, so trebles in groups of 3 all the way around, just kind of fudging it as I went along. And then when I'd done that, I thought I'll just do a round of doubles into each stitch just to give it like a firmer edge to finish it off. For this I used my sock yarn leftovers because when I started this, I had loads and loads of leftover sock yarn. I had loads of little small balls of sock yarn, kind of this, sometimes less. So I just held 2 together. Sometimes I would held 2 strands of the same color together. Sometimes I would just grab 2 different colors that kind of went together or not, and just held them together and crocheted with 4-ply or sock yarn held double. I did make sure it was all superwash, so that if this needs washing, it should be okay to wash it. To start with, I did have some yarn that had like silk in it, like merino silk blend, and I think I took all that out in the end and just used superwash. At least I hope I did. There is one here, the lighter of those 2 pinks. It's quite shiny, so I'm wondering whether that might be a silk blend. But most of it is just sock yarn. Some of them I look at it and I think, oh yeah, I remember knitting those socks. Some of them are like 4-ply solid yarns rather than specific sock yarn. Some of it is sparkly. Where did I find the sparkly? Here. Oh, you can see that, but this bit here is a little bit sparkly. Probably can't see it. There's a bit of sparkle down here. This pink yarn is sparkly. I knitted socks in that pink yarn. I think I was knitting those around time when we watched the Barbie film. I can't remember. No, maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, I finished it. it isn't massive, but it's big enough so when I sit in my chair knitting in the evening, I can have it right under my underarms and it goes down to my toes. And that's the kind of length I wanted, and it's wide enough that I can kind of like snuggle under it when I'm sitting in my chair knitting. And that's kind of what I wanted. So really happy with it. It's finished. Is it perfect? No, it's not, but I don't care. It's a crazy crochet blanket. Nobody's going to see that my edges are a bit wonky when it is on my chair and I'm snuggled underneath it with my knitting. Nobody's going to see that. So I'm really happy with it. I have another crochet blanket that I knitted that was also granny. They were like corner to corner granny stripes, and that currently lives on the back of my chair. So I'm kind of not sure where to put this now because I don't really need 2 crochet blankets on my chair. And we have a dog and he likes snuggling under a blanket, and he's got 2 blankets on the sofa that he snuggles under, and I do not want him to have another blanket to snuggle under. I was a bit annoyed when I came back from Norway because somebody had put my blanket that was on the back of my chair on the sofa so the dog could snuggle under it, and I was like saying to Simon, that's not turning into a dog blanket, and neither is this. So the other project I was working on last week is my hat, and I'm nearly halfway through. So this is my Cornwall hat. 2 for Simon, 2 for myself, 1 each for my daughters, and this one. So I've done 2, 4, 6. This is number 7. And I was thinking I might as well write up the pattern because Simon was going to wear his, the first one I knitted him, when we were at YarnAddict last September because it was so cold, especially the first day. It was so cold, and he said, can I wear my hat? And I was like, well, I don't have the pattern and I don't sell the yarn. So I knitted him a new one for Christmas in this yarn, which is Manos Uruguay Allegria, which I do sell. And I said I will write up the pattern, so then if I do a show he can wear it in the yarn I sell, and I can say, you want that hat, that's the pattern, that's the yarn. Because I try not to have anything in my stall that I don't sell the pattern or the yarn for. So this is the Cornwall hat pattern. Pattern will be out soon. We're just doing the tech editing at the moment. I'm a bit behind with it because of my trip to Norway. I'd hope to get it out in early January, mid-January, but hopefully by the end of January. So I'm using Manos Uruguay's Allegria. I don't have the label here because this one didn't have a label, so I can't remember what that colorway is, but it's a really lovely rich purple. The reason I chose this one is because the label has fallen off, so I couldn't sell it. And the other hats I made, I've knitted the whole hat in the same color. This one I'm going to do 2 colors. I'm going to do this color on one side and this pink on the other side, which is also Allegria, which I'd used for something else, and I had quite a bit left over, so I'm using that as well. And what I'm going to do is make this one slightly longer so that you can fold it up. So when you fold it up, and you have this as the outside, when you fold it up, the brim will be in this color, and when you have this as the main color, the brim will be in the purple. Close to changing colors. I think I have, hang on, let me just measure. I got my ruler out. I think I have maybe like a couple of centimeters to go in this color before I change color. So I'm going to knit to where I think I'm going to change color, and then I'm going to put this on the barber cord, try it on and see how it fits, and then change color. But because this is just plain stocking stitch, I must admit, when I'm knitting at home watching telly, it can sometimes get a bit boring. And because I've been working mostly on this project in the last few days, and I've been quite tired because I think I'm still recovering from Norway. I came back from Norway early hours last Monday, then I did a workshop on Saturday, and I left home at 8 in the morning. I didn't get home till 8 in the evening. It was an hour and 20 minutes ish each way of travel, and so I was really tired on Sunday. Still a bit tired. It's going to take me a week to catch up. I've had loads of work to do this week to catch up on, so I have been feeling tired this week. So I haven't had, my knitting mojo has definitely been suffering this week, and I haven't felt like knitting a lot as much as I normally do. So I have been struggling to get this done, and I have other projects. I was talking about them last week. I have a brioche clutch bag which I could have knitted on, but I really want to get this done so that when the pattern is ready to be published, I have this sample ready as well. So I've been kind of pushing myself to do this, and I think on some days I would have been better off if I just put this down and knit on something else, because I was trying to knit on this, but then I was getting distracted and scrolling on my phone and stuff like that, which I know I do a lot of, especially when I'm tired or if I'm bored. So I should have just said, like, right, knit on this for an hour, then put it down and do something else. So I think from now on, that's what I'm going to do for the rest of this week. So it's Thursday today. So I'm going to do like an hour, set a timer on my phone, do an hour, put it down and do something else, because otherwise I'm just not going to get it done, because I'm getting distracted by other things. So my goal is to try and get to the colour change today, and then take that with me out and about over the weekend. I think we're going to go out on Saturday. Weather's not supposed to be very good again on Sunday, so we might have a quiet day in on Sunday. But I've been also thinking about what other projects to start. So I do have a pair of socks on the needles that I started in Norway and I haven't finished yet. Haven't worked on those for the last week. I have this brioche clutch that I mentioned that I haven't worked on at all in the last week. So I want to work a bit on those. I think the socks I might just put on hold till I finish the hat and then have that as an out and about project. But the brioche clutch I really would like to get started on. And there's another project as well that I really would like to get started on, but I haven't got the yarn yet, so I'll have to just see what I do about that. I also have the which I showed off last week, I think. Yes, I did. The Discreet Unicorn advent calendar bag. I haven't done anything with that. I need to press it, which I'm going to try and do today. Start writing up the pattern. I have decided on the handles and I need to make the lining. So I'm going to try and do that over the next few days and get it finished by the end of the weekend. That's my plan. So that's an update on my existing project, but I have decided I really want to cast on for another sweater for myself. I never used to knit sweaters myself very often because I was knitting so many sweaters for magazines and yarn companies, but they're all a size 10 and I am clearly not a size 10 or anywhere near a size 10. So I wasn't knitting garments for myself, and a couple of years ago, 2023 I guess it would have been, I set myself a target of knitting 3 garments for myself. I think I managed 2 or 3, I can't remember, and then last year 2024 I set myself the same target and I knitted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not sure. And I've already finished one this year. I know I started it last year, but I'm still counting it as finished this year. But one of the things I knitted last year was this one. And I haven't published any of these patterns yet, but I'm thinking about that this might be my first one because it's fairly easy to grade and write up. And I kind of think I want to knit this one again. I love wearing this. I might actually put it on quickly. It is really nice. It goes down nearly to my elbows, so it's really nice as a layering piece. I wore it when I went to Norway in November, and I wore it a lot to Norway. Found it really good as a layering piece when I went shopping in like shopping centres and things, because they tend to be quite warm. So winter coat is too hot, but just a thin t-shirt is too cold. And I wear it a lot when I was driving, I wear it when I was travelling, I wear it a lot at home because it is so easy just to throw over a long sleeve t-shirt. I wear a lot of these kind of thin long sleeve t-shirt I can layer things over, and I do wear this a lot. And I was wearing it yesterday and I was thinking I want to cast on something else, and I have 2 yarns that I've earmarked for sweaters, and I was going to do this one next. This is Pixie Yarns fingering weight sock yarn, the merino nylon, and in the colour YarnAddict. I think I bought one of these at Stitch Fest 2 years ago and I really liked it, and then I ordered 3 more from my website. So I got 4 of this, which is enough for something like this. I do have something else in mind for that I have not swatched for yet, but I have the chart written up. It's in a folder on my computer. And then I've also got this, which is Manos Uruguay Fino in a gorgeous pink. So the original one I had of this was like a slightly darker pink, and then last year sometime I ordered it for a show. And can you see how this pink has a little bit of variegation? This is brighter than the original version I had and a bit more variegated, and I really like this, and it didn't sell, so I took 4 skeins of this and hid them for myself because I like this color, this dye lot, better than the original one I had. So Manos Uruguay don't do dye lots, it's all hand dyed yarn, and it can vary a lot from when, if I buy some one time, next time I buy it, it might look slightly different because that's just what hand-dyed yarn does. I really like this, and I got 4 skeins that look the same. So I'm also thinking about doing a garment in this. So what I was thinking the other day was, because I need to write up the pattern for this and get it published, and I've decided I want to do that for spring. So I thought, do I re-knit this in this yarn? Then I will have a solid version of this so I can show what it looks like in a solid version. I will also have it in a yarn that I sell, because this yarn I don't sell. The pink ones at the top are left over from a design I did for Knitting Magazine using merino and silk 4-ply from Orchid Luxury Yarns. And then the yak is I used that originally with the pinks in this design for the Knitting Magazine, and that was also from Orchid Luxury Yarns, but it was undyed, but I didn't have very much left of that. So I got a couple of skeins of this from Belinda at the Knitting Hotel. It's the undyed yak merino silk base, and loads of indie dyes. Sell it either dyed or undyed. I just got the undyed, so it's pink down to my bust, and then plain below that. And I do really like this, and I've worn it quite a lot, so I would like it in another yarn. So the other day I sat down and started swatching, and I swatched in this yarn being a different color. This is one of the colors I knitted a hat in for my daughter for Christmas, and I like it. But when I measured this swatch, the tension of this yarn is very different from this. So this yarn is a singles yarn, so it feels a little bit thinner than this yarn, and I think it has a few more meters per 100 gram as well. This one has 450 meters, and I think this has around 400 meters. So it is a little bit thinner. So I knitted this one on 3.5mm needles. I swatched this on 3.5, and on this one, 4 pattern repeats measures about 10.5 centimeters, and it measures about 11.5 on this. So I don't think that's going to work without me recalculating the whole pattern, which I don't want to do. So I'm going to try today to swatch it on 3.75mm needles and see if that will do it. Because then I can just write the pattern for it. If you're using this type of yarn, use 3.5mm needles. If you're using Fino, use 3.75. Obviously, you should always knit a swatch and adjust your needle size to get the right tension. But then I also have a sweater I did for, I think this was Knitting Magazine as well. This is using Macintosh Fabulous 4-ply, which is, I was going to say, is it the same blend as this? I don't think it is. I think this might be Blueface Leicester and silk, and this is Merino and silk, but it's very similar. So Macintosh used to have this available as a kit on their website with a copy of the magazine. So if they still do that, I will link it below. It will be an affiliate link, because I do have an affiliate link with them. That just means that you pay the same, but I get a tiny percentage. But I really like this. It's knitted in a similar way to this, except this is bottom up. I could easily knit it top down, and it's the same kind of shape. It's a different stitch pattern, and then the bottom part is stocking stitch, which I really like as well. So I also swatched that. So that is what it looks like on here, and then I swatched it with the same with the Fino. Now what I don't like here, so I use 3.5mm needles, but can you see here it kind of creates these ladders, and I don't like that as much. And I was looking at this, and this doesn't do that as much in this yarn, so that might just be the difference in yarn. So I'm like, do I want to do that with the Fino, or would this be better to do it in something like that yarn? I don't know. So I don't know whether to do that yet or not. Then I also have this one, which is also Macintosh Fabulous in a very bright yellow. This was for Let's Knit magazine a few years ago. This is it's got a lace pattern on the body and a stocking stitch on the sleeves. This has got like 3/4 length sleeves, I think. I could make the sleeves shorter or longer, and I could also change this to this kind of construction, but just use this stitch pattern. So I was thinking, do I want to do that? This may also be available as kits on the Macintosh website. I will see if it is, and if it is, I will link it for you, because I do quite like that. So I was like, do I do that? And as I was looking for those samples, I also came across this sample. This was for Knitting Magazine as well. This is Monos Uruguay Silk Blend, which is the DK version of this yarn, which I don't think is available yet in the UK. I don't know whether it's been discontinued together, but it's just not available in the UK. But I don't want to do it in DK because that's too thick for me. But this has the same kind of construction, but the sleeves are slightly longer. So I could just make the sleeves slightly shorter to do this. This was knitted bottom up, but I could switch it for knitting top down. But that would mean that the stitch pattern would be top down as well, rather than bottom up. So that's one thing to bear in mind. And I was looking at this and I was thinking, do I like this stitch pattern enough to knit a swatch? And I think I do. So I'm decided that I'm going to swatch this stitch pattern in 3.75 and see if I can get the same tension as this, and if I do, I will knit this, and if not, I will also swatch it in this stitch pattern to see if I like the way that looks and whether I want to do that. So that's also one of the things I want to do today, swatch it, block it, so that I can make a decision tomorrow. So if I do want to do it, I can write the pattern tomorrow and cast on before the weekend. So I might get another sweater on the needles before the weekend, we'll see. One thing I forgot to say is don't forget my 20% off everything on my website. So yarn, beads, my books, the lace knitting and easy lace knits and notions, runs out on the 25th of January. Code will be on the screen. The code will probably also work in the early hours of the 26th, because I always set it for like a day later so that I cover all time zones. So if you are late or you're in a time zone that reached the 26th before we do here in the UK, do check it out. It might still work, but I'll put the code on the screen. It's New Year 20, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the code is New Year 20, all one word. Put it on the screen. I'll link it below. Don't miss this chance to get 20% off. It finishes on the 25th or on the 26th, really. Officially on the 25th, so do go and check that out as well. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. Leave me a comment, let me know what you're working on at the moment, and tell me what you would do in terms of my sweaters. What would you go for? What would you knit next if you were me? Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.